Can we talk about rest for just a second? I think this is a really important conversation. For those of you that don't know, I'm a worship pastor in a church. I'm a creative. My name is Patrick. I'm so glad you're here. And I love to create content. I love to lead worship. I also love to rest. Sleeping is one of my favorite things. And sometimes we choose to sleep and sometimes we have to sleep. I heard this phrase once where someone said, a fool sleeps when they must and a wise person sleeps when they can. If you've got a minute, you got nothing going on, truly, hey, take a nap because you never know when you're going to get that rest back. When a baby is born into a family, you'll often hear families get told, sleep when the baby sleeps, because you never know when you're going to have the opportunity to rest and you're probably going to be up all night feeding that baby, taking care of it. You get the idea. Well, I kind of had a bout with rest this past Sunday because I was scheduled to lead worship at my church where I am the worship pastor. Now, Saturday, I began to feel pretty ill. Now, I wasn't on my deathbed. I wasn't throwing up. I took a COVID test. It wasn't COVID, thankfully, but I felt rough. And I had the option to say, am I going to go to work on Sunday, where I was scheduled to lead worship? And I chose to, on Sunday morning, wake up 5:15 like I normally do, go into work and do the dang thing. I kept my distance from people, washed my hands, was really, really safe, but I just chose to go to work anyway. But isn't it amazing that I have that choice? You see, I think that so many people, especially people that work in churches, feel like rest is not an option for them. As a matter of fact, I think that a lot of people think that they are not doing things right unless there's a little bit of suffering in their life. And I just don't really agree with that anymore. But let me explain. So first and foremost, let me just say that I work with an amazing team. And if I had said, even on Sunday morning, guys, I cannot come in, I am physically unable to come in, or if I'd gotten into an accident, I know that my team would cover me. I am also given vacation days. I'm given sick days. I am taken care of in that regard. And I know that so many people out there working in churches may not be, but we have to value our rest. I mean, this is something that we see all throughout Scripture even, where Jesus, he is anointed to do ministry. What's the first thing he does? He secludes himself. Now, you can argue that 40 days in the wilderness, he's tempted by Satan, all those things, that wasn't maybe a very restful time. But at the same time, you can see the value of him constantly throughout his ministry, secluding himself away, resting when he needs to. When there's a storm happening and his disciples are in the boat, you find Jesus sleeping. So rest is clearly a value, and I think we've lost it because we have this feeling that we have to get things done. If we don't do it, no one else will. And yes, there are times where we need to step in and we need to be the ones to get the job done. We have been hired or tasked or called into doing something, and that's absolutely fine. But if we always, every single time, put that task getting done, that ministry happening above our mental, spiritual, physical health, I don't know if that's a win. And for me, this became a problem in my ministry career, so much so that I found myself a few years ago in a place where I was just completely disillusioned with what I did. I actually made a video about it because I didn't choose this. My boss came to me, my pastor came to me and he said, Patrick, we want you to go on a sabbatical. Now, a sabbatical, if you don't know what that is, it's like an extended vacation. You are separated from work. You have every right to come back to your job. As a matter of fact, some people go on sabbaticals and just leave and say, it's time for me to move on. It's a time where you assess, hopefully, spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally, how you're doing. Are there things you need to stop doing, start doing, change? Or even is it a time to move on from your current reality? And I was in that place. I actually made a video about it. I'll link it down below. I was in that place where I was like, I'm not going to work at my church for the next 3 months. As a matter of fact, I didn't even go to church because I was in such a place of burnout and delusion from almost 20 years of being in New York City, planting churches without a significant break like that one. I was exhausted. I had been through the pandemic. I had been through financial crises. We now had 3 kids in our home. Our church had gone through massive change. I got a new boss, new staff, just all sorts of things where I did not have the mental, emotional, physical, or spiritual capacity to say, I need a break. And my boss came to me in his wisdom and said, we want you to take a break and just make sure you're doing okay. And Oh, I'm so grateful for them seeing him, especially seeing that this is something that needed to happen. And to be honest, he sent me on that break not knowing whether or not I was going to come back. He was like, hey man, decide whether or not this is for you because I want you to be healthy. I care more about your health than I care about worship being amazing at our church. And man, diamond in the rough, that guy. Like, not a lot of bosses would have said that, especially in the church. So during that time, I did a lot of assessing. I saw a spiritual director, a therapist, a career coach, and a psychiatrist. Now, why a therapist and a psychiatrist? Well, your boy's diagnosed with ADHD, and way back in my younger years, I was diagnosed with depression. So I wanted someone with that type of a skill set, that type of a degree, to look at the medications I was taking, to look at my life, to be able to ask questions and decide whether or not anything in my life needed to change, whether it's medication less or more, whether it's different habits to make me healthier. And it was in a conversation with this psychiatrist that he blew my mind with this one phrase. Coming into this sabbatical, this long period of rest, I looked right at him over Zoom and I said, why is it that I don't feel like I'm doing well unless I'm suffering? And he looked right back at me as if I should have known this the whole time and said, Patrick, it's because suffering has become a shortcut, especially for people who work in churches like you. I looked back at him like, I have no idea what that means. Please explain. He said, of course. He said, you see, in life, you're going to make choices. And sometimes those choices are really hard. And because of those choices, you suffer or you sacrifice. Now that sacrifice, that suffering might be minuscule. Oh, I'm going to choose to drive my kid to baseball practice. Therefore, I'm suffering by missing out on time watching that TV show. Or, you know what? I'm going to miss out on that huge job promotion and I'm not going to have that huge raise coming my way because I know that my family time will suffer. So I am choosing my family. I am making the sacrifice to be with my family. Sounds weird, I know. And not taking that huge sum of money. He said, but what happens, especially in churchy circles, organizations like yours, is when you make a sacrifice or suffer, you are rewarded and it begins to feel like, oh, when I make this sacrifice on behalf of my church organization, I think, well, that was a win. So the next time I experience suffering or sacrifice, I immediately equate it with a win instead of actually thinking, is it right to feel this way? Do I need to take a break? Or, man, it seems like I'm really battling a lot of things. Maybe this isn't how I should feel or live for my entire existence. Now, this defined so much of my church career, especially in New York City. There were so many sacrifices I was making, things that I was pushing myself to do, areas where I was just stretching myself to the spiritual, emotional, physical, and mental limit. But I kept thinking to myself, but the church is growing. We're doing well. This was the right decision. And it made me reassess what was actually good for me and for the whole. So there were some things I learned that I was doing to myself that I was like, oh my gosh, that's a choice I've made for myself that I need to stop or change, or I need to start doing this differently to be healthy. There was things at my job where I needed to have conversations where I said, you know what, in order to be healthy, I need to change this or start doing this or stop doing this. And long story short, or long story long, I came back from that sabbatical just way healthier. And this past Sunday, when I woke up feeling terrible and I thought, I have the choice on whether or not to take the rest that I need or to go and do my job and then just rest a little bit later. It was so freeing to think through that decision in a different light. Hey, really quick, I hope you're enjoying this video. Don't forget to subscribe down below. And if you're a worship leader, I have a free resource for you. It's a transitions cheat sheet. We always want our set list to flow seamlessly, and I've created a cheat sheet to help you do that. All you have to do is click the link down below, sign up for my email list, and I will send you the cheat sheet for absolutely free. Back to the video. And I know that there are so many people out there in the church world that are just pushing themselves. And you're doing it for all the right reasons, but don't forget that when the storm was going on and the disciples were freaking out in the boat trying to get everything right, Jesus was just resting. And that's not the right decision all the time, but sometimes it is. You don't have to fix everything. You don't have to push yourself to exhaustion in order to see other things thrive. There are going to be seasons in your ministry where you are tired, and that's okay. There are going to be seasons in your ministry where, you have to take those late night meetings, and that's the right decision, and that's okay. There are seasons in your ministry where you're like, honey, I know we're supposed to go on date night, or hey guys, I really want to be at your game, but I have to be at this other thing once because it's the right decision, but I'm going to be at the next one. But if that's how you're living all the time, it might be time to think through the way you're doing ministry and the way you're organizing your life. And I would ask yourself this question. Is there anything right now that you need to start doing? Are there things in your ministry life that you need to continue doing? Are there things that you need to reassess and change? Or is there anything that you need to stop doing in order to be healthy? And listen, I know there's more to this conversation. I'm also not a mental health professional, but these are just some lessons that I've learned. And I was reminded of them this past Sunday when I woke up and said, should I go to work today? Thinking through that question in this post-sabbatical Patrick Light was just so refreshing. And you know what else is refreshing? This video right here. You should watch it.